Welcome to the Baseball Insiders for a special Tuesday bonus. Happy to be with you. Happy to have you here with us. I am Adam Weinrib alongside Fansided's MLB Insider Robert Murray. A lot has swirled over the past 48 hours. Blake Snell put some eyeballs on his Instagram story. Gerrit Cole ended up in the MRI tube. Will either of those two things affect one another? Plus moves that we wish had happened and still could. Here to break it all down and answer your questions is Robert Murray, Fansided's own. Robert, thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks for having me as always. Always a pleasure to be here. Sorry about not being able to make it yesterday for the show. As is usually the case, I was out doing all sorts of different stuff, trying to get you guys the scoops, meeting with a lot of different people. Good times. But here we are now. Adam Weinrib, how are you?
They are good times. This, too, is a good time. We'll see you right back here Thursday at 3:30, I believe. But we're happy to give you a special bonus, especially because so much has technically occurred in the last 48, 72 hours, or at least more is hanging in the balance than was last time we spoke. This podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. If you bet $5, you get $150 in bonus bets instantly. The promo code is Baseball Insider. That's a $5 first bet on any sport to instantly claim $150 in bonus bets when you sign up for the first time with our code Baseball Insider. You'll receive those rewards even if your first bet loses. It not only gets you the bonus if you use the code Baseball Insider at sign up, but it also directly supports the podcast. If you've been considering signing up for DraftKings, make sure to use that code Baseball Insider to maximize your first bets. This offer is only available to new customers who are 21 plus and physically present in legal gambling states. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer to see if you qualify. And join us in the Discord if you haven't. Baseball Insiders fans have access to a special Rumor Mill Discord where Robert will help break down the news, synthesize it, distill it, give you tidbits that you won't get anywhere else. So if you're a fan of the podcast, we would welcome you in that conversation as well. And Robert, the NFL offseason, there is no better time to get your futures bets in because obviously we're all thinking about September already, even though it is currently March. Blake Snell plays Fortnite during his downtime. You and I think about the Eagles and Giants kicking off week one. And after Philly stole Saquon Barkley, I kind of think they're going to be playing each other.
I am not kidding you. I genuinely never I saw all the reports about Barkley and the Eagles. I did not think they were actually that was actually going to be a thing. I thought it was a leverage play. And all of a sudden, they got the Adam Schefter tweet notification saying that Barkley was going to the Eagles. And, yeah, I freaked out. I made myself look like a fool in front of some folks, which, you know what? That's okay. That'll happen. But we got baseball stuff. Eagles talk can wait, even though I love to talk about the Birds for a while. Very eventful time here for the Yankees in particular. Oh, not good.
Very eventful time for the New York Yankees, and I think a good portion of the early part of this podcast is going to be us discussing ways that the Yankees can pivot from something they're still waiting to learn information on, and you sort of telling us, I don't know if they're going to pivot, but I've no spoilers. I have to ask the questions that are on all Yankee fans' lips, so I will. Aaron Judge, we were told, no, he's just getting a day, just getting 2 at-bats. He's fine. Turns out he went for a secret MRI, which is fun. You love to get a competitive advantage by doing secret MRIs in spring training exhibition games where the outcomes of the games don't matter and nothing is gained by lying about the injury. I digress. Gerrit Cole's MRI is much more pertinent than Aaron Judge checking out his own abs in the tube. Cole goes for an elbow MRI. Nobody knows it, really. He does the side game after Daniel Vogelbach suns him. He does a bullpen session, live BP instead of game action. All of a sudden, we're hearing he's not recovering the way he wants to. Elbow feels like he threw 100 pitches when he only threw 50. That doesn't sound good. I'm not a doctor, never will be, but that doesn't sound great. We're waiting for the results on Cole's MRI, and everybody wants to know, while the Yankees wait, whether it's bad or not, do they intend to pivot with a splash? Blake Snell still out there. Jordan Montgomery still out there. Bob Nightingale mentioned today they've reignited Dylan Cease chatter, though they don't seem to be willing to include Spencer Jones, which, if you didn't include Spencer Jones, do you really intend to reopen conversations? Just saying. What are you hearing on all of those fronts, the Yankees pivots, and how they're feeling about Cole in general?
Yeah, I'll start with Cole because this is what it's opened up the can of worms here with all this talk about Snell and Montgomery or whatnot. Is the Yankees took him for the MRI for precautionary reasons and just wanted to make sure that their star pitcher was okay, make sure that nothing was serious. And we don't know yet exactly what's going on, but Aaron Boone has since said that it would be difficult for him to be ready for opening day, and that they're going to do more testing today. And I quote, "It's still probably going to be a couple days until everybody weighs in," which, I mean, they obviously want to get as many opinions on this as possible so they know what's going on, but they don't know the nature of it yet. But the fact he's going to miss opening day is obviously not great. Obviously, you got to hope this isn't a long-term thing. But as far as the Yankees go, I can't imagine this is going to end up opening up a Snell or a Montgomery possibility. I haven't seen that as a possibility for a little while, or as a real possibility, I should say. I haven't seen that as a real possibility just because if they end up signing one of those two, it comes as 110% tax because they're over the $297 million threshold. And that just doesn't seem like the Yankees at this point are wanting or willing to do. I do think the cease interest makes more sense, and of all those options is the more realistic thing, just because, I mean, they can try to shed payroll in that trade or in a different trade. But as of this point, nothing's close. I still don't think he's going to be moved before opening day. I don't think it's necessarily out of the realm of possibilities here, just because the White Sox are listening. There are other teams that are continuing to talk to the White Sox about cease, but the White Sox are doing what they have to do. They're listening, and if they get an offer that's good enough, then they take it. If they don't end up getting an offer until or before opening day that they find good enough, then they can hold them onto them until the trade deadline. So it makes a lot of sense for the White Sox to listen, and that's what they're doing. But I just don't think anything is close.
And the Juan Soto addition is really the only thing changing this conversation from the exact same conversation we just had about the Red Sox and Lucas Giolito, right? If the Red Sox didn't believe in their roster enough with Giolito to supplement him with Jordan Montgomery, the Yankees are in the same boat, right? They didn't want to add Snell at that price or Montgomery at that price to a rotation with Gerrit Cole. Now, all of a sudden, they're willing to pay 110% with the tax to replace Cole, a swap, but the rotation gets worse, right? Like, obviously, you're not going to replace Gerrit Cole with anyone who is better than Gerrit Cole, but they're going to pay 110% tax to get Blake Snell to make their ace lesser. I mean, Juan Soto is the only reason why you'd even entertain it, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. I'm right there with you. And like Gerrit Cole is one of the most irreplaceable pitchers in baseball. I mean, he's coming off of a Cy Young award. He's just been dominant in New York, and then before in Houston. Obviously, that's where he ended up really just launching his career. And he's someone that you want to have leading your rotation, leading you into the postseason, leading you into the World Series. And if you lose him for any period of time, that is a gigantic blow. And it's going to take just everyone in that organization to possibly replace him. Obviously, we're not at that point, though. We don't know exactly what this injury is. But anytime there is anything involving an injury with Gerrit Cole, let alone in that region of his body, I mean, not great. But we'll have to see for the MRI results and see what the Yankees have to say. But at this point, they don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows.
Look, it's not my responsibility, and it is Juan Soto's walk year, but Gerrit Cole long-term injury is kind of one of those where you might just have to throw in the towel and be like, when we got Juan Soto, we didn't see that coming. And then it happened. Woof. The comment saying the Yankees could have had Montgomery, Tyone, Clark Schmidt, King, and Cole. I mean, if Cole's injured, though, they wouldn't have Cole, and they would have had to sign Montgomery and Tyone to expensive contracts, and then they would have King and Schmidt, but no Juan Soto. I don't actually think that rotation puts them in a better place than they are currently. Rodon, look, I'm not really a believer at this juncture. Got to show me, but I'd rather have Stroman than Tyone, especially on the contract. And I'd certainly rather have Cole than not have Cole, but there's nothing you can do. If he's injured, you don't have him. They intended to have Cole for this year for sure. So I think they set themselves up nicely. A Cole injury is just a kind of catastrophe that it's really hard to come back from. So I think Yankees fans and everyone in the front office is hoping they don't have to address this further. It's like when we were talking about them choosing between Stroman and their Snell offer. Like, don't you want both? Like, your rotation kind of needs both instead of just one. They opted for the one who came on a bit of a discount. If you're adding Snell now, the rotation kind of needed Cole and Snell, not just Snell slotting in Cole's place. And same with Dylan Cease, in my opinion. But obviously, we're going to have to see what the MRI, plural, because it seems like they're doing many MRIs, all say about whether this is precautionary or not.
Yeah, and I can't blame him for being as thorough as possible with this, just because, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say, like, if the injury is potentially serious, like that has a shot to really just, I don't want to cratering their season, maybe a bit strong, but not far off, because he's that important. But yeah, the Yankees, even with Cole healthy, they needed another starting pitcher. I think anyone around the Yankees would have admitted that, even before the Cole injury. And now with the possibility of him having an injury, that need is just magnified. I'm fascinated to see what they do, but I don't see a realistic scenario for them where they can go get a Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery. Cease makes more sense, but Snell and Montgomery, I don't think so.
Well, it's very funny. I've been watching the Yankees for a long time. I'll go on record here. I've been correct with I know this team too well. So here's what happens if Gerrit Cole is seriously injured. They call up Will Warren. They call up Clayton Beeter. They use Luis Heel. They mix and match with these guys, and they're surprisingly good. They're lurking at the top of the AL East all year, battling it out with the Orioles and Rays. Everybody's sort of saying, look at the next man up Yankees. Are they really going to be able to piece this together without Cole? And then the playoffs begin, and they lose the ALDS in 4 games because they don't have Gerrit Cole and they have random rookies in the rotation. That's what happens. They don't just fall flat, but they get there, and then once the curtain rises, everyone's like, wait, Marcus Stroman starting game 1? A rookie who threw 140 innings is starting game 2? That doesn't sound good. And then it isn't good, and they lose in the playoffs.
I have a very strong feeling this is what you ended up talking about on Yanks Go Yard. I feel like that may have been what came up. And I'll tell you, thank goodness they did get Marcus Stroman, because you imagine if they ended up not getting Stroman and then they ended up, they have just even more question marks in that rotation, because who knows if they would have gotten a Blake Snell or a Montgomery type if they didn't get Stroman. But man, I'll tell you, this is one that everyone in baseball is watching, and having injury concerns with Cole, and then also with Aaron Judge and his core, or what was what did they call it?
What they said, well, they've called it several things, none of which are real terms. So yesterday they said he was mid-spring beat up. Everybody knows that word, right? You all, spring training tradition is old as time. Somebody saying someone is mid-spring beat up. And then today, Judge revealed he did undergo an MRI, quote, on his abs to determine whether it's a 6-pack or an 8-pack. Like, I've never heard that in my life either, but apparently he's just battling the kind of core soreness that comes from spring work and off-season work, which is good news for the Yankees, because typically the work only gets easier as the regular season drags on. So if you're hurt from spring work, then you'll probably be great, good to go when it's June, per my experience.
No, exactly. And also, not to switch subjects here, but I am seeing all sorts of comments here from Angels fans asking about Blake Snell, and
it's going to be my next video for sure. So yes, let's get right into it.
I don't want to keep these folks waiting. One thing I do not know is I don't know what side of the bed that Artie woke up on this morning. I guess that's a mystery there. But do the Angels like Blake Snell? Yes. But have the issue for most, if not all, of the offseason has been price. And it's just been something that they haven't been comfortable with. They didn't want to go to a certain price point. I don't know if the price point has dropped by any means, but I do think the Angels make sense for Snell. I think he would be open to playing in Anaheim. I know he spent a considerable amount of time in Orange County this offseason. Considerable might be a little bit strong, but he spent a good amount of time in Orange County this offseason, and I think that would make I think it would make a lot of sense for both sides. Like the Angels clearly need a starting pitcher. Snell clearly wants a deal. Obviously he wants a deal. But I think the Angels make a lot of sense. People are asking, are they the favorites? Are they making progress? I'm not someone who ends up handicapping who's a favorite or not, but I think the Angels are interested in Snell, and we'll see what happens. But I'm not guaranteeing you anything, but they're interested. That much I know.
What's funny though about all this is we see the eyeball emojis on his Instagram story on Saturday afternoon. I think everybody expected, who's keeping up with the baseball rumor mill, that okay, the wheels are in motion, and maybe when Robert and Adam are on the show Monday, or maybe it's Tuesday, we'll be able to break down a Snell contract, whether it's the Angels or the Giants. 72 hours later, no public progress. Although you did have that hilarious anecdote where John Heyman was like, I got off the plane at Angels camp because I thought he might be at Angels camp, and he wasn't. But we don't really have anything discernible pointing in either direction, do we? Even 72 hours after that Instagram message.
Yeah. So the Instagram message, the eyeball emojis like that, I was told that was a false alarm. That was not an indication that he had signed or that anything was close. I don't know what it was, but that was not him saying that a deal was happening, or that didn't mean that a deal was happening. I genuinely don't know what it meant, but I will say when he put that out there, I was at the gym and all of a sudden my AirPods, where I get the text notifications, just kept going nuts and just going crazy. And I checked, and it was a false alarm. So. And there's a question here from obviously a burner, like how come no random teams are interested in Snell or Montgomery just to flip them at the deadline? I mean, we did hear Scott Boras say that there was like 4 teams that had checked in on Montgomery since what was it, like Bellinger signed or something like that, when it was right after or since spring training had started. He said that at the Bellinger press conference. And yeah, I mean, so there's clearly other teams that are interested, but they just haven't been leaked yet. And I will say there is a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that does not get out. It's just a testament to how teams keep stuff private. So I wouldn't interpret the lack of reports as like a lack of interest, because there are teams that are involved. But yeah, it's just the fact that it's March 12th and these guys have not signed yet is legitimately like baffling to me. Because I mean, we still have Snell, we have Montgomery, we have JD Martinez, we have Michael Taylor, we have Tommy Pham, we have, Adam Duvall. I can also just pivot to some of those guys too, because I got some stuff there.
Exactly.
So
yes, anything you got, and people are gonna literally anything you have, people want at this juncture.
Yeah, because I think everyone's hungry for news, and I will tell you, like, there's no like definitive news yet. But like Pham is continuing to draw interest from teams on 1-year deals. The Padres are among the teams that are interested. I can even throw in another one. It's the Pittsburgh Pirates. They are interested in Tommy Pham. I think the Pirates would be open to adding another outfielder, but I think both the Pirates and the Padres are in a similar spot where any outfield addition won't be necessarily breaking the bank. I can't imagine they're going to be paying top dollar for these guys. But I think on a certain price point, they'd make sense for both teams. As far as Adam Duvall, I think he's someone that's also on the Padres' radar. From what I've gathered, nothing close there from what I can tell is between Duvall and the Padres, but all those guys still being unsigned is pretty shocking to me. And I'm just curious when at this point a resolution is going to come.
And I think the players are as well. Maybe perhaps the players who don't have homes yet are more curious about their landing spots than even the fans are. It gets lost in the conversation about Snell potentially replacing Cole too. It's March 12th. He's unsigned. You're looking for a new opening day starter and you sign Blake Snell. It's not going to be Blake Snell. He's not ready for opening day. It depends. We don't know how ready Gerrit Cole is going to be, but it doesn't sound like either of them will be ready to take the bump on opening day at this point. So lots of considerations, as especially these pitchers are looking for new homes. And that sort of leads into the trades or signings that we wish had happened already. I came up with a 3-item list before some of this really went down. And I still would like to have seen Jordan Montgomery go to Baltimore. I'm on record that Dylan Cease to the Yankees at a price point that makes sense. I wish it had gone down, and now I doubly wish that it had gone down. But the most pertinent one for me is Willy Adames and the Dodgers. We get so many questions about Willy Adames' availability. You have mentioned repeatedly that they at least obviously like the player. And I'll tell you who definitely wanted to see this get done. The Los Angeles Dodgers, who panic moved Mookie Betts to shortstop on Friday and Gavin Lux off the position. Gavin Lux hasn't looked much better at second base. He's already defending his yips in the Athletic for a team that I was told all offseason had too good an offseason and so good that it was unfair. The Dodgers are in a world of drama in early March, and it has nothing to do with the rotation that they shored up, nothing to do with the lineup necessarily, but you're taking Mookie out of a comfort zone. You have a problematic player in Gavin Lux. Forget about what he provides to the lineup. The defense is a net negative right now, and Betts at shortstop isn't Betts at second or Betts in right field. This is a pretty big issue, and Willy Adames would have obviously made it all go away.
Yeah, 100%. And like that's a deal that I really wanted to break down here, or the deal that you wish had happened.
Whatever.
Yeah, we're not saying that a deal is done because
no.
The Brewers, specifically Matt Arnold and Pat Murphy, have told me they told me at the spring training meetup a few weeks ago or a couple weeks ago that they had no interest in moving Adames and that they fully planned on having Adames as their opening day shortstop. Arnold told me that, and then when I asked Pat Murphy, he went definitely. So it seems pretty definitive to me. Obviously, things can change, but they've given me the indication that they don't want to move him. But that being said, man, are the Dodgers in a tough spot right now? I mean, you spend 1.3, 1.4 billion somewhere in that ballpark this offseason. And then you get to spring training, you see all these new toys and they look freaking awesome. And then Gavin Lux, who's coming back from the injury, appears to have a case of the yips and is bouncing throws from shortstop to first. Then he gets bumped from shortstop to second base, and he's doing the same exact thing again. And it has obviously had the Dodgers really concerned because they went from saying that Lux was for sure their guy at shortstop to saying that Betts is their permanent, for now, shortstop. So, and I mean, obviously they put Lux at second base, and obviously you have Kike Hernandez, who can also fill in there as well. But obviously more served for a utility role because that's where his real value is. But this is literal a nightmare for the Dodgers, and they clearly have to do something. But if Adames isn't someone that the Brewers want to move, like who exactly is out there? I mean, could it be like a Jorge Mateo? Could it end up being a Ahmed Rosario is not going to be there because he just signed with Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
They're in a really, really, really tough spot right now. It's a difficult situation to navigate. Obviously, the best case scenario for them is Lux ends up bouncing back, gets rid of his case of the yips, and is their full-time shortstop. But right now, that is not reality for the Dodgers. They, at this point, seem like they have to find someone external to go figure that. Oh, if they want to go external. Because then, let me rephrase that. Now they have to go, they have to have Betts play shortstop. They have to have Lux at second base. That's their situation that they face now. And if they want to end up deploying these guys in a different way, then I think maybe they end up trying to really try to explore that at the deadline. But brutal. This is, man, I don't think the Dodgers ever saw this one coming, ever.
The Kike Hernandez deal, all of a sudden, much more important, but not someone they view as a starter at the position, someone whose versatility they prize. They definitely didn't sign Kike for $4 million to make him their starting shortstop or starting second baseman. Chris Taylor, Miguel Rojas, who's pretty much a non-entity with the bat. And again, this is a super team, right? This is a team with all the pressure in the world on their shoulders prior to the season, rightly so because of the moves that they made. You add Ohtani and Yamamoto and Glasnow, you are under World Series pressure. That is happening. Even more so than in previous years when you were also under World Series pressure. And to start things off this way, already talking about Miguel Rojas in a starting role, already talking about moving Betts off a position where he asked to go. He wanted to play second. He didn't want to play short. and then having to move Gavin Lux around and pretend like he's still part of the present and future when he can't put his legs under him, and we know why, because one of them is weaker than it used to be. Not what they wanted to see at all, already succumbing to that pressure very early. And rest assured, like you said, the Brewers not receptive now, but the Dodgers are not going to let up. You mentioned all the time people make calls that they don't think are going to pan out. I feel like the Dodgers are going to be making some exploratory calls.
Yeah, because I mean, this is something that a lot of these teams do, and I mean, I've tracing it or like going back to the football talk. Like, I'm an Eagles fan, and Howie Roseman is their GM, and I hear him say all the time that he is relentless when it comes to making phone calls to other teams or to other agents, and he always says, throw everything out there, because if it's crazy, I might just do it. And that is something that Andrew Friedman definitely has to go do right now to try to solve the shortstop issue if they don't want to have Betts there long term, or even for the entirety of this year. It's just it's a bad spot for the Dodgers to be in, and I'm confident that one way or another that they'll find a way to navigate it, but the answer to this is really complicated, and having Betts at shortstop for now is a good Band-Aid, but I'm curious to see exactly how long that'll last, because we've even seen him commit. I mean, his defense has been a little bit spotty there, I think, at shortstop, to say the least. So, I mean, maybe they end up going and doing something. I think they have to make as many phone calls to try to see what's out there as possible, but from the outside looking in, it appears those options are pretty slim, which, Andrew Friedman, your work is not actually done. It's only just getting started with the shortstop's position. Who would have thought?
Yeah, Andrew Friedman, James Paxton was not the exclamation point on your offseason, unless he can also play a passable shortstop, in which case, great deal. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Plenty of iron still in the fire. We will be right back here later this week to give you an update on all of the rumors and news, and presumably we'll have Gerrit Cole's MRI results at that juncture. It's good when somebody has 7 MRIs, right? That means that they're all coming back clean as a whistle. That's typically great news. But we'll know more about that later in the week, as well as probably how the Yankees plan to pivot and whether they intend to get serious for Dylan Cease. Robert, anything else in the notebook that I forgot to touch on that we got to let everybody know?
No, the stuff I wanted to talk about, well, in the notebook was the Fam Duval and the Taylor stuff. And we hit on that mid-show, so we love that. Adam Weinrib, good show today, though, my friend.
Robert Murray, we do good work even when the news is strenuous, and I'm sure some people logged on to see me wailing, crying about Gerrit Cole's fate, and joke's on you, I'm emotionally shattered, so I can't do that anymore. But we'll see everybody later in the week, Thursday, 3:30 Eastern time, normal time, no more pivots. We really appreciate you joining us. Again, DraftKings, the code is Baseball Insider. Sign up, use that code. If you already have an account, just text me on the side. I'll give you some betting tips. But you only use that code if you are joining a new account. And join us in the Discord if you haven't yet. See some of you Discorders in the comments like always. You guys always rep for the show. We're glad to have you. And join us there after the show. We'll be sticking around answering more questions. Robert Murray, thanks for joining me, and we'll see everybody on Thursday afternoon.
Oh, we'll see you guys then. We appreciate everyone tuning in. And as Adam said, please join the Discord. That is a very fun community, and someone like I've gotten to know a lot of those people very well. Always in there trying to chime in, and yeah, it's good stuff. We always love that, and we'll see everyone Thursday afternoon.
Obviously, a burner saying that you have to go to the Yankees pod for me crying and that I'm genuinely unhinged on that. I will agree. I'm unhinged on that podcast. Also kind of unhinged in the Discord. So if you want to push my buttons, doors open. Come on, push them. Again, but I don't feel anything anymore, so I'm probably not going to react the way that you're hoping I would. But either way, come join us in the Discord. We'll see you then, and we'll see everybody right back here on Thursday afternoon.
That we will. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.